Lorraine walked into the house. Then she waited for her mother.
Wow.
No, that's mine. While Lorraine was being slapped, a million thoughts were running through her mind. She wanted to scream these thoughts at her mother, but she didn't. Lorraine wanted to tell her how she isn't a child anymore, that she needs other people in her life besides her mom, and that she is just a normal human being like everyone else.
And my phone. Action.
Lorraine's mom didn't respond. She walked over to the table and sat down. She began to cry loudly.
I have done everything I could do for you. I have given you a home, an education, and much, much more. It's just to see what you would do to this.
Lorraine wanted to comfort her mom like she used to do when she was younger, but something stopped her.
Mom, what did you have to do to get those nylons?
What you think
I also think that he is way too
You're just a nice
judgmental.
man.
Lorraine's mom was suspicious, but she let it go.
I'm going to bed.
Wrong one. That was the other one. No.
I'm going to bed.
Ring, ring! Lorraine's telephone ringed only once. It meant John wanted to meet her. She was surprised to say the least. She thought John would still be sleeping with the hangover. After all, it was only around 11, but Lorraine decided she would go meet him anyway.
My father says I have to see a psychiatrist.
You'll forget about it today.
I know.
What did they do when the police brought you to the door?
To put it to simple, the old lady freaked out, and the boy looked disappointed and angry.
John didn't like talking about his family, so he changed the subject.
How's Mr. Pignotti doing?
Why do you care?
I was just wondering.
John and Lorraine were quite worried about Mr. Pignotti, so they decided to give him a call.
Hey, Zeb.
Ring, ring.
Oh, Megan, don't ring.
Hello, Mr. Pignotti. Mr. Pignotti, this is John. Are you there?
There was a long pause, and then a voice just above a whisper spoke.
Yes?
Lorraine and I want to apologize. We will pay for everything.
Lorraine gasped quite loudly when John said that. Before she could say anything, though, John started speaking again.
Are you still there, Mr. Pignotti?
I found it.
Yeah.
Can Lorraine and I come over to clean up?
No. All right.
John's arguing was useless, though, because Mr. Pignotti had already cleaned up most of the mess the party had left behind. Mr. Pignotti was quite lonely nowadays. He basically just sat at home and felt quite empty. He knew he had nothing else to live for. He knew Bobo was getting old. He knew that his wife was waiting for him. He also knew that John and Lorraine would miss him, and he would miss them too when his time came to die. Do 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 do.
What? Bobo?
You say it twice.
I said Bobo.
Bobo died last week.
Bamboo?
Yep, can't say I feel particularly sorry about it because that baboon had the nastiest disposition around here.
Mr. Pignotti stared into the cage and stood motionless for a while.
That's mine.
Just kidding.
Mr. Pignotti stared into the cage and stood motionless for a while.
Mr. Pignotti, we better leave.
Bobo.
Lorraine could see the blood vessels on the side of Mr. Pignotti's neck pulse as he raised his hand to his face. She was thankful she had her sunglasses on because she didn't want to see his eyes, even when John just stood there not knowing what to do.
I had a woolly monkey down at the end of that died at Pannonia too.
As Lorraine started moving away towards the door, John went to Mr. Pignotti and took his arm lightly, trying to turn him from the empty cage. The pigman opened his mouth and raised his hand, started to shake. He went to grab hold of the railing, but let out a cry almost like a puppy that had been bitten by mistake.
Oh no!
They can still remember the sound of it, and sometimes they wake up from a nightmare with it in their ears. It was like a high-pitched scream, but it came from deep inside of them. And before John or Lorraine knew what happened, the pigman dropped to the floor. It seemed as if the monkeys knew something because they started making noise and pulling against the bars. They wanted to put their hands to their ears to shut out the jungle that had surrounded them. Mr. Pignotti was dead.
What happened?
Call an ambulance. You'd better get out of here.
John told Lorraine. Right when he touched her, she burst into tears and ran out of the monkey house. If she had gotten involved as a witness after all that happened, John knew her mom would have shipped her off to a Tibetan convent for 96 years. John sat on his knees next to Mr. Pignotti. He took the pigman's wrist and checked for a pulse, but there was nothing. Lorraine had dropped her sunglasses, so John crawled and got them and went back to Mr. Pignotti's side. When John held one of the glass ovals near Mr. Pignotti's mouth, there was no breath to cloud the surface.
Is Mr. Pignotti all right?
I got a dead man in my house.
But John did care. Lorraine thinks she knows everything that goes on inside of John, but she doesn't know a thing. A big crowd of people gathered around to look at Mr. Pignotti's body. John was surprised at how quickly everybody started to show up. He even thought that maybe the zoo announced the dead body of Mr. Pignotti over the speakers as some sort of special only for today. John just wanted to leave, so he leaned down and whispered his last words to the dead man.
Good mind, Mr. Pignotti.
As John turned to leave, he saw Lorraine. She was sitting on the ground, looking lost and confused. John then decided to walk over to her. Here's your glasses. Oh, sorry.
Here's your glasses.
We murdered him.
We need to hear CPR.
John turned away from her because he had been through about all he could stand. He was angry and wanted to yell at her, but he didn't.
Here's your glasses.
John sat down next to Lorraine.
Oh, now you're alive.
Let's go, Lorraine.
They looked at each other, and each one knew that the other understood.
Did anybody see that old dead guy? No.
Abby.
Oh my God!
They had trespassed. They went where they didn't belong, and now John and Lorraine were being punished for it. Mr. Pignotti had been punished by losing his life. But when he died, something in John and Lorraine had died as well. There was no place to hide. People's lives are what they make of it. Nothing more, nothing less. That was only a minute.